Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Uh, this video is concerning or critiquing a video that I watched by the real markaba called The Truth About Islam. I'm a bus operator in the city of Tampa. I drive a city bus. Met a young man on the bus who was telling me about this guy, the real markaba. This guy's got so much knowledge, and this guy's this, that, the other. He said, "Oh, go check him out." Uncle, being short for uncle. Okay, I'll check him out. And I tell you, these cats don't be having no knowledge, man. They be feeding black people, especially, because that's their target audience. They be feeding black people a bunch of misinformation. Just keep it 100 with you. You understand? They feed black people a whole bunch of misinformation. Okay. So I'm watching this video, The Truth About Islam. And he's talking about how you wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't have any doubts about your religion. This video is going to shake you. If dude, serious? It's a joke, man. He starts off the video and he's talking about the prophets of Islam, how they are all prophets from the Bible. They're not all. Now, the Quran mentions certain prophets by name. Most of them are prophets maybe mentioned in the Bible, but not all. And you also have to understand that our Prophet ﷺ told us that there were over 144,000 prophets. 140,000, 144,000. I forget the exact number. There were many prophets. Okay. There have been many nations in the history of the world. We don't know them all. Okay. God is not just a God of Christians and Jews, what is called Christians, Jews, or Muslims. You understand? He's the God of all of humanity. And humans have been on this earth probably for at least 300,000-400,000 years, maybe longer than that. Who knows? Okay. But there have been many peoples in different places, different languages, different cultures. All of these people have needed guidance. So God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we call him, has sent prophets for man's guidance. This is something that we understand in Islam. All the prophets are not, necessarily Arab prophets or Israeli or Jewish or Hebrew prophets or Christian prophets or whatever. No, So we understand this about humanity, that God is the God of all of human beings, and throughout the history of human beings, he has sent messengers to guide humanity. Okay. But there's going to be some overlap. There's going to be some commonality. If one God is sending these prophets to humanity, there's going to be some overlap as far as message, way of life, religion, things like this. But there's going to also be some differences. Different places, times, circumstances, conditions, languages, whatnot. Okay. But he tries to use that as a proof against Islam. He goes into talking about, all of the Qurans are written in Kufic and not Arabic. Kufic is Arabic. I know you people that don't know anything about Arabic, you get somebody like him and they'll say, oh, everything's written in Kufic. Kufic script, that's not Arabic. Kufic is Arabic. Okay? But it's Arabic style of writing from the city of Kufa. You understand? Okay. Just like this is print. This right here is English, but it's print. But if I wrote the same thing in a cursive style of writing, it's still the same thing. It's still English. It's still conveying the same information. I just use a different style of writing. Okay? So, but let me show you something here. Zayd bin Khalid. He was one of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? He settled in Kufa. Kufa, that is a city. That is where Kufic comes from, the Kufic script, Kufic style of writing. It comes from this city of Kufa, where he died in 78 years AH after the Hijrah. Okay, when he was only 50 years old, Atta bin Yasser and others narrated the traditions of the Prophet from him. He died in Kufa. Okay, this is where Kufic script comes from. Okay, Bunky, why you keep coming in here? Go watch the trolls with Denise. Um, 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 it's, um, it's, Bunky, what? It's, I've been in a little bit. Let me finish doing what I'm doing. Okay? My leg hurts. Okay, go in there, lay down. I'll be in a minute. Okay, close. I'm not laying down. Okay. Close my door. I'm just laying down this room. Okay. So Zayd bin Arqam, he settled at Kufa, where he died in 66 AH. Zayd bin Arqam. These are all Arab names. Well, where did they settle? Where did they die? Kufa. Okay. These just some little things I just underlined here. I underlined it in red ink so you can see it, you know. I'm not just coming here sitting in front of the computer and just talking from the top of my head, you know, and you don't know where I'm getting it from. Urwa bin Abi Zayd, he was appointed Qadi of Kufa by Hazrat Omar, and he narrated many traditions. Omar radiallahu anh was one of the great companions of the Prophet. He took over the rulership of Islam after the death of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who had taken over after the death of the Rasul of the Prophet Muhammad. Okay, so Omar radiallahu anh, he was the second Khalifa after the Rasul, peace be upon him. Okay, so during Omar's reign, he appointed Urwa bin Abi Zayd as a judge. Qadi is judge. Where? Kufa. Okay? So when you hear these people talk about, oh, that's Kufic, that's Kufic, that's Kufic. Kufic is a type or style of writing Arabic. Okay? It's Arabic. It's just a different style of writing Arabic. And it comes from the city of Kufa. Okay? Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, one of the famous companions of the Prophet ﷺ, he was appointed governor of Kufa. Okay, see here? Daddy? Hang on, Bunky. And this is all verifiable information. This particular book that this is coming from is the English translation of Mishkat al-Masahbi. Hello! Watch out, Bunky. Let me finish. Hello! Okay, let me finish what I'm doing. Okay? So this is the English translation of a collection of hadith called Mishkat al-Masahbi. English translation. Okay? This book was probably translated back in, I think they started translating this book in the early 1900s, maybe 1930s. They didn't complete it until some years later. But this is a 4-volume set book. Okay. See, these guys, they jump out here and they just start talking and saying stuff, and you be wondering where they getting it from. You know what I mean? But these are our books. Okay. I don't know where they're getting their stuff from. Okay. But these are our books. And it also talks about Zayd bin Thabit, who was the companion that Abu Bakr radiallahu anh commissioned to gather all of the parts of the Quran and to put them into one book. And this wasn't something he did by himself. He did it with the companions as a whole. And this is what they accepted as the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so the Quran was written down during the lifetime of the Prophet. Okay, but it was not all in one book, in one place. Okay, but the companions was there. They were with the Prophet when the Quran was being revealed, and they memorized portions of it, and they wrote some down, you know, And so Zayd uh, Zayd bin Zayd bin Thabit was the companion that Abu Bakr radiallahu anh commissioned, gave him this job of collecting it in one book form after one of the battles with Musaylim of the liar, and many of the companions that had memorized the Quran by heart were killed. And so Omar, fearing that the Quran might be lost, went to Abu Bakr and said, "We need to do this." And so, after discussion between Abu Bakr and Omar, Abu Bakr went to Zayd and said, "I need you to do this," and he did it. Okay. Um, So it says he belonged to that group of people who during the caliphate of Abu Bakr gathered together the different portions of the Quran and recorded them systematically under the guidance of Hajrat Uthman. Okay, okay, that's what it says right there. Okay. Daddy, I can't open the door. Okay, Bunky, I'll help you with it. Okay. There you go. And that is also what it talks about here in the Tabligh Nisab. Zayd radiallahu anhu said by Allah. Okay, he's talking about Abu Bakr coming and giving him this job. Okay. I then started going to the people and collecting the Quran from those who had written it and from those who had learnt it by heart till the final collection was ready. Okay? And I'm going to underline that with red ink right there. Okay. Okay. And this is all verifiable information. All of this information has been taken from other books by our scholars and put into these books for us, the men and women around the messenger. And it talks about the people who were with the Prophet ﷺ, okay, and their lives, and it's basically biographies about these great people. And so anyway, Zayd bin Thabit was given that job by Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, after the battle with Musaylim of the liar, and many of the people who had memorized the Quran had been killed. So this job was given to Zayd by Abu Bakr to collect the Quran into one book. Okay, but this Quran, it had been written during the lifetime of the Prophet. Okay, so anyway, and then he, like I said, he talks about everything written in Kufic. Kufic is Arabic. It's just a style of Arabic writing. Okay, you wouldn't say, "Oh well, this is not English because it's using Roman letters." Your letters are Roman, English-speaking people, just so y'all know. Okay, for all of you people, all of you Negroes that are watching this video, okay, whether or not you realize it, your alphabet is Roman, but that doesn't mean you're reading Roman or Latin. You're reading English, okay? But we use Roman letters to write it, okay? So, don't let people play with your heads like this. That's what these guys do. They know that you don't know anything about Arabic. They don't know you don't know anything about Islam. So, oh yeah, man, look, those are some lost in the sauce. They don't realize they're reading Kufic, not Arabic. Kufic is Arabic. It's from the city of Kufa. Okay. He asked the question, why 23 years to reveal the revelation? You have to understand that Islam is for your life. Islam is for your life as an individual, as a member of society, for those who rule society, how to organize your political and economic system. Islam is for all of this. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that the people in power apply it. That doesn't mean that they live it. You understand? But what it means, this is what Islam has been given to us to regulate, rules and regulations for this. So during the life and mission of the Prophet, peace be upon him, certain circumstances and situations would come about. and Allah would reveal verses of the Quran dealing with these issues that they were dealing with in real life in real time. Okay, so this took place over a 23-year period. Okay, and what he was talking about, God rested on the seventh day and all that, we don't believe in all that. That's Christian theology, and that's their theology, but we don't believe that. Okay. Dad, can I use your phone? Yes, it's over there. Unplug it. See, yeah, so we don't believe that God created the earth in 6 days and rested on the seventh. And Allah knows the best. If that close my door. Close my door. Close my door, Bunky. Go close my door. And Allah knows the best if those 6 days are really 24 hours. Here? No, Mama's outside, Bunky. She's coming. Mama here? No. The uncle not coming? No. Mama's coming inside. Go see. Go see. But nonetheless, no, we don't believe in the concept of God. That doesn't, we don't believe in that 6-day thing. So, but nonetheless, the revelation was revealed over a 23-year period, and to solve problems and issues within the lives of the Islamic community. And so that's why 23-year period of revelation. Now, he talks about the African slave trade being commissioned by the Pope or whatever. Look, what this guy don't realize, maybe he does realize it, but that the slave trade was prevalent. I'm busy right now. I'm a little busy right now. I'm busy right now. The slave trade was prevalent throughout the world, the ancient world. You talking about like the Prophet Muhammad lived like 1400 years ago, close to 15, if not 15. It's real close. I'm doing something right now. What's up?
What's up? This is house.
Well, I noticed, but you was calling me, weren't you?
Oh, I just wanted you to see this person, what I was talking about.
Yeah, I'll check it out when I go out there. I'm making a video.
Can you see all of that?
No, you cannot. I'm pretty smart sometimes. Okay. So anyway, you're talking about things that were taking place, 1400 years ago. Even before that, this existed in the world everywhere you went. So I don't know what the point is that he's trying to make there. I guess he's trying to say that because one of those popes gave a verdict that, I don't know, it was okay to enslave Africans. Hell, they was doing that already anyway. That's the reality of the situation. But they was enslaving everybody, Europeans. I remember I was listening to the book, the audio book, what was it? Man, The Richest Man in Babylon. Okay. Babylon was thousands of years ago. But what did the narrator of the book say? He was watching the king's water bearers. They were slaves. They were carrying water for the king. And he mentioned that some of them were black men from the south and blonde men from the north. Okay? So you have to realize that in the ancient world, in a minute, Bucky, in the ancient world, slavery was not contingent upon black or white or whatever. You understand? If your people lost a war, y'all became slaves. If you committed a crime, you could become a slave. If you went into too much debt, you could become a slave. That was just in the ancient world, period. Okay? And if you became a slave, what would stop your slave owner from selling you? Even in the books, like the books about the Prophet's companions, many of them were slaves, former slaves. Salman was a Persian. He wasn't from Africa, he was from Persia. But he had been bought and sold as a slave 10 times before the Prophet ﷺ had migrated to Medina, the city of Yathrib, which was renamed Medina to Nabawiyah, the city of the Prophet. Salman the Persian had been bought and sold as a slave like 10 times. Okay? So, Shuaib al-Rumi, he was Roman. Shuaib was a Roman. He was one of the Prophet ﷺ's companions. They say that Shuaib had blonde hair. Shuaib was a slave in Arabia. But so was Bilal, whose mother was an Abyssinian slave. They had fought a war with the people of Mecca, and she was captured and she was made a slave. But actually, I've read narrations that says she was from the Abyssinian royal family. Allah knows the best, but that's what I read somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. But the point is that in their society, slavery wasn't contingent upon, it didn't have anything to necessarily do with you being black. Anybody could be a slave under those conditions. Now, the difference between that slavery and the slavery we had here in America is that America and the West, I guess because of the Pope's edict, specified Africans to be slaves. Okay, but this isn't the case with Islam. Okay, this is not the case. Like I said, in the ancient world, slavery was prevalent, and race was not an issue. Okay, race wasn't an issue in you being a slave back then under those conditions, and this was the situation in Arabia. He's trying to pretend like because the Pope gave the edict, the Arabs enslaved Africans. The Arabs enslaved everybody. Look, if you went to war with them and you lost the war, you became a slave. That's just a fact of history. There's many white slaves that were taken slaves by the Arabs, as well as black, as well as everything else. You understand what I'm saying? But he's trying to see. He wants to turn black people against Islam because of his own ignorance. You see, so he wants to say that, well, after the Pope gave this edict, the Arabs were given the okay to enslave Africans. That's bullshit. Okay, that's just bullshit. It has no basis in fact. But if you don't know any better, yeah, you believe it because you live in America all your life. And in the West, niggas was slaves in these white countries. You understand? Matter of fact, even after we was let out of slavery, you couldn't go to school with them. You couldn't drink the same water fountain with them. You understand? You couldn't use the same toilet as them. They were so far above us, you understand? And it was drilled into our heads that we were inferior, you see, because we were black. But what I'm telling you is in the ancient world, this was not the case. Anybody could be a slave. You understand? It's completely, it's slavery, but at the same time, it's different. It's not the same situation, you see? But because most of us don't know that, we only know of slavery in the context of America or the Caribbean or Central or South America. We have a certain understanding of slavery. You see, we don't realize that 1,000 years ago it wasn't about being black and being a slave. Anybody could have been a slave. Like I said, if you listen to the richest man in Babylon, the man is watching the slaves carry the water for the king. Some are blonde from the north and some are black from the south, but they all slaves. Okay? I just told you the Prophet ﷺ, many of his companions were slaves. Some of them were from Africa, some was from Rome, some was from Persia, and who knows where else they were from. You see? But it wasn't about black skin or white skin. It was about your condition and your position. You get what I'm saying? But these niggas come on here because of your lack of understanding. They play on your intelligence because you don't know the subject matter that he's talking about. You see what I'm saying? But they pretend like it's a whole bunch of knowledge. Yeah. African slave trade was actually, it was before Islam. It was before Islam and it continued into Islam. The Prophet didn't abolish it completely, but at the same time, he did put rules to regulate it and rules for emancipating slaves and things like this. Also, I noticed in the video he shows a lot of pictures. You see, Middle East, this, that, the other, talking about how black people are treated in the Middle East. A lot of those pictures, like what he's trying to say is this how black people treat them. What he's trying to say, this how Islam treats black people. That's what he's trying to say. But I know for sure one of those pictures was of some Israeli Jews telling those black Jews that came from Ethiopia and those other places that they don't want them there. That ain't what they got to do with Islam. You understand? Because it was a picture of a man, of an Israeli holding a sign that said, "This is Israel. We don't want you here." This, that, the other. What does that got to do with Islam? Those are Jews. That's Judaism. That's their Hebrew religion. You understand what I'm saying? But nonetheless, he wants you to he wants to put a certain idea and image in your head. Then he shows some other pictures from the war in Libya. You see, first of all, Libya is in North Africa. It's not the Middle East. Okay, it's North Africa. Secondly, they were having a civil war. Thirdly, a lot of Gaddafi's soldiers were from Mali in the south. A lot of his pilots and things like that. You see, so if you was a foreigner in Libya during that civil war, you might run into some problems because these ignorant Arabs, they don't know if you from Mali or where you from. They thinking you one of Gaddafi's soldiers. You understand what I'm saying? So this is how this is how people play on your intelligence, because there's a lot of information you just don't know. So then they come and they just say whatever. They put a picture up there. They paint a certain picture, and that's what it is. Okay, but in reality, it's all an elaborate lie. That's really what it is. Because the picture, yeah, it's a real picture, but it's a false story behind the picture. Okay. Now, he also says here Arab royalty. I guess he's trying to say that the Arab royalty came into existence because the Pope commissioned Arab royalty. There was no Arab kings prior to the First World War. See, you got to know these kind of things. Otherwise, you think what he's saying makes a whole bunch of sense. The Saudi royal family, the Saudi Arabian royal family, got their position from the British. They didn't get it from the Pope. The British are from the Anglican Church. They split from the Catholic Church a long time ago. Okay? This happened after World War One. Maybe a lot of you people that like to leave comments say, "Oh, this brother got so much knowledge and this, that, the other." Did he explain to you the situation with World War One, where the Turks were allies of the British, and the Turks ruled over the Middle East? They ruled over most of these Arab countries, Middle East, North Africa. Okay? But they were the allies of the Germans in World War One against England, France, America, these countries. Okay. Well, guess what? Germany and the Turks and the Germans lost the war. So all of Turkey's empire, those Arabs that the Turks ruled over, because the Turks are not Arabs, they're not the same thing. Okay. The Turks ruled over the Arabs. And so when they lost the war, the Turkish empire was divided up by the allies, England, France, pretty much. Okay. The French took over certain countries. This is where this is colonization. Okay. French took over certain countries. The British took over certain countries. But in the war, the British wanted the Arabs to rebel against the Turks. Like I said, they're two different groups of people. Okay. So this is where the movie Lawrence of Arabia, this is what it's about. So the British promised the Sharif Hussein of Mecca that they would make him the king of the Arabs. But when it was all said and done, they didn't make him the king of the Arabs. They put one son in power in Jordan and another one in power in Iraq. Okay. And I don't know how it all shaked out, but the Saudi royal family ended up getting power in the Arabian Peninsula. Okay. But this was all done by the British. This had nothing to do with the Catholic Church. Absolutely nothing. This all took place after World War One. So black people, don't fall for foolishness. People come and say, "Oh, this, that." Man, a lot of this just nonsense. Niggas just talking a bunch of crazy stuff. They don't know what they're talking about. They mixing up a whole bunch of stuff that don't go together. And they really have no idea what they're talking about. But I'm gonna listen to the video some more and listen to some more of his points, because man, it's so much foolishness. There's so much stuff to unravel and unpack. And you have to have a certain amount of basic knowledge to even understand what this guy's talking about. But anyway, with that being said, I'm in this video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.